big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome to the landing strip with Nick Lynham and Mikey Garcia, presented by From Financial.
Welcome back to the landing strip. After game 72, the Winnipeg Jets dropped this one 3-2 in regulation to the Colorado Avalanche. Mark Scheifele puts himself in Winnipeg sports history and puts a stamp on the night that he does it. There might be some Mark Scheifele glazing today, as for the third straight game. I think he was the best player on the ice for the Winnipeg Jets. And believe it or not, folks, he scores a goal 500 at 5-on-5 without Kyle Connor on the ice. Whew! Lots to talk about there. Morgan Barron gets into a scrap, though I imagine we're going to be missing him for some time here, the way that went. Had me thinking about Tyrell Bauer, though it looks like he's hurt himself. And the Winnipeg Jets, in a battle of putrid power plays, drop this one in regulation, look like they're getting a lot of quality results on the out-of-town scoreboard. They made a college UFA signing we'll be diving into. And once again, we ask, did Scott O'Neill say too much? We're going to dive into all of it tonight. But as usual, I don't do this show alone. Mikey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm actually doing pretty good. The vibes should be high tonight after that one. You got a fun game. You got some Mark Scheifele magic, some Mark Scheifele milestones. Lots to talk about with the coach. And, of course, we're going to have to start the show the same way we always do after a loss. So, clear the lungs, throw your heads back. Let's get ready to sing our tank song.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop. We'll soon be here.
And yes, it will soon be here. These standings are so tightly packed that a couple wins and, we're starting to wonder if they're going to be drafting in the double digits. And look, some positive out-of-town scoreboard results. Some teams start catching up in the games played. The Jets lose tonight, and all of a sudden, maybe fifth from the bottom isn't out of the question anymore. Maybe the Jets will have a chance to get into that, number one, number two spot with a lottery win. So, yeah, a lot to be happy about, a lot to be interested in, and I'm excited to get into all of it.
Well, let's get into it. It's a tank night. Bottom five, all of a sudden back in play. Talk about a roller coaster here, folks, no matter what race you're paying attention to. Mikey, on a tank night, who is your tank commander on this night?
That's a tough one. There's a lot of options out there. I went back and forth. I think I'm going to settle on Scott O'Neill and just his absolute inability to manage a lineup in any way, shape, or form. The way some of these minutes are distributed in game, the inability to get Connor Hellebuyck out for the extra skater at the end of the game. Are you kidding me? You guys can't get the puck and put together a play where Connor Hellebuyck gets off the ice at any point in the last few minutes? It's absolutely baffling to me that this happens, not just tonight, very frequently with the Winnipeg Jets and Scott O'Neill at the end of games. Just absolutely doesn't know his asshole from a hole in the ground sometimes. So I'm going to give it to Arnie just for the absolute inability to figure out his lineup.
I'm going to go somewhere else, and Frosty kind of goes there. Frosty Winnipeg, my tank commander is Salo, who scored the first goal for Colorado and assisted on the second by sitting in the penalty box. Juarez, 33's tank commander's play of the night was the goalie interference call by the coach. And I got to say, I know we're all confused on what goalie interference was, but if that wouldn't have counted, I would have officially been done guessing on goalie interference. I thought that was a very obvious one that was not coming back.
Scott O'Neill did not agree with you on that assessment.
Well, we'll get into that in a bit then, I guess, because that would have blown me away.
I agree. I thought it was absolutely a good goal, but I'm curious to see what you think of O'Neill's assessment and why they did the challenge.
Okay. I think there's logical reasons to have done it, and we can definitely get into that. I'm curious to see what he said because I have no idea.
Yep.
And on that topic, Archivist Athletica says challenging the goal interference was a bad call. I agree. O'Neill's a tank commander tonight. Real DFE goes a good place that we got to talk a bit more about. the tank comms was the power play. What was it? 4 for 45 since the Olympic break?
That's correct.
Putrid. In a night where you're coming in and somehow you have a better power play percentage in Colorado. Jesus. They might be the most. My biggest question mark is, how does a team with all that talent have such a bad power play? Even today, they only really score on the Jets because that 5-on-3 was coming to an end there. But the power play, that's a great shout out. I'm going to go. The tank commander is actually a night where the youth have big mistakes in them that go the other way. And this is part of giving rope to youth in this league. Not every night is going to be perfect. And as you've talked about, Mikey, those nights where the big mistakes happen, you still want to get them out there working through it. Salo has tough coverage on that first goal, or that goal in front of the net. I thought this was a night where some of his breakout passes were tough. There was one that goes to Lambert that stands out to me for both players, where Salo puts it in Lambert's boots on a clear look, and Lambert doesn't bear down, and all of a sudden Colorado's got a 3-on-2 in zone there. You're going to have to work through things, but I didn't think the kid line had a great night outside of that Rosane chance against Cale Makar. I thought this was a tougher night for the Jets youth, and you're going to have those nights in your development stage in this league.
Yeah, it was a tough night for the youth. It was a tough night for the old men as well. Jonathan Taves had a real rough game out there. Watching Taves tonight, I was thinking a lot about AJ Styles. For anybody who isn't a wrestling nerd, AJ Styles is a professional wrestler who just recently retired. And a lot of people said, he went out maybe a year earlier than he kind of needed to, right? He was still kind of able to go out there and perform. And the reason he said he retired now was because he never wanted somebody to look over while he was performing and say, oh, that's AJ Styles. He used to be good. And I think we're hitting that spot right now with Jonathan Taves, right? You don't want to be sitting in the stands at a Jets game with a little kid and they go, yeah, that's number 19, Jonathan Taves. He used to be really good. And just don't look how he's playing right now because, rough night for the kids and I think a rough night for JT.
I think that's fair. Wanted to shout out Luke Armbruster says, tuning in from the sky. Look at us. Getting on in the airplanes now, folks. On road to watch a quality team. And yeah, it is the landing strip. On road to watch a quality team in Oregon, the Blue Jays. Shout out, Luke. Enjoy opening weekend.
Hell yeah.
Watching those Blue Jays. I'm excited for tomorrow night.
Yep.
Enjoy your trip, buddy. But away from the tank commander stuff, we got to go right off the hop to Mark Scheifele. We got to. Today, he passes officially Thomas Steen for the most games played in Winnipeg Jets history. Blown away. It's one of those things for me. I'll look at the beginning of the year for milestones coming up, and then I just don't track it throughout the season, and I go to a game, and I'm like, oh, shit, that's sick. And today, sitting there, made me feel a little bit old too, but seeing Mark Scheifele pass Thomas Steen for the most NHL games played in Winnipeg, and I'm sitting there thinking about like the stories my dad would tell growing up about Jets 1.0 and hearing all those names, what that all meant for him growing up. And now we're at that stage with this core that we've known from day one. Pretty crazy to put into context today and really think about. But also, a big shout out to Mark Scheifele on that night. 2 goals, both of them off sick plays. Kyle Connor finds them for a cannon right down at my end too. Oh, what a view for that one. Woo. And then he gets out there on a line change, starts the forecheck. Velarde ends up getting it in the corner, finds Cole Perfetti, who finds Mark Scheifele. Holy shit, folks, for the first time in 72 games, Mark Scheifele has a goal on a shift where Kyle Connor's not out there at 5-on-5, even on a split shift. But he goes punch for punch with Nathan McKinnon on this night. Would you think of the Mark Scheifele milestone? Would you think of all of his night tonight? And as Gilbert Marion says, he's going to have all the records when all's said and done in Winnipeg.
It's not only does he get his career high tonight, he stays on the pace to kind of break that Thrasher's record,
100.
that 100-point record that we've been talking about all
101, I
season
think we
long.
gotta get to.
He's got to get to 101 if he wants to sit by himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the one that we've been watching all season long. The fact that he's gotten to this games played spot is absolutely insane. When you think back to it, the draft where they took Scheifele is the draft where they announced that this was going to be the Winnipeg Jets. There was still, right, the question leading into it. I remember the drive down, still checking my phone constantly, looking for leaks to see if there was going to be, and everything we're hearing that it was going to be, but you still never know. It was, absolutely unreal. And then them taking Scheifele when everybody was going, who? And here we are all these years later, and yet he's got the games played record, not just for 2.0, but also, now passing Thomas Steen, and he's the overall, just anybody wearing a Winnipeg Jets jersey. He's done it more times than anyone else, which is absolutely insane to think about. Like you said, hearing the stories, I'm a little bit older than you. I got to see, not a lot of it. I was a real little kid when the Jets left, so again, for me, it was also a lot of it just stories and watching video and things afterwards. And here we are now. Yeah, it's history kind of right in front of us. It's really cool. And the only thing missing from his performance tonight, like, he had the goals, he had the big moments, like you said, going toe to toe with Mac. The only thing he needed was a win. That was the only thing that they didn't get out of it. So, absolutely crazy night, and just really cool to step back and think about.
No, it's one of those things, not last summer, summer prior. A good friend of mine, her stepfather was like the scorekeeper back then, and he actually kept in binders all the records from 1.0, and I was going through them just a couple summers ago, and now Mark Scheifele, in the history of all of that, will be at the top of this and still going, still a long ways to go, though we know my thoughts on that from another angle. But like business side and the frustrations of this season away, and the frustrations I have with how much control he has in this market. This is somebody, especially growing up to and kind of following the rest of the league, there was a lot of good players that never became Hall of Famers. I think Mark Scheifele is going to go down as a Hall of very good player. Like, you hear that phrase a lot nowadays, guys that are just short but put together real productive careers. And despite my takes on the business and all that, I think it's important to recognize that as well. And what that means in the grand scope of Winnipeg hockey history, even if it's not in that inner circle of greater hockey history, like Gilbert Marion says, he's no Howard Chuck, but still great player and rep for the Jets.
Yep.
I have trouble when the Howard Chuck comparison comes up because I do view him as that inner circle Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Hearing the stories of him and just kind of Winnipeg was doomed because they kept running into the Oilers and how revealed his career was. But this is still a very high-end hockey player that we've watched grow up, and is going to end his career with numbers on the back of a hockey card that are really, really impressive in this league. I think it's important to find that nuance in the conversations we've been having, but also what he has done in this league and how impressive it is. His peak was very high for centers. His peak might be this year, which is very high for centers in this league.
Yep.
A real impressive career in Winnipeg, despite some of the other stuff we've been talking about. And I thought it was on full display today when he throws punch for punch with Nathan McKinnon. And we know where he stands in this league.
Yep, absolutely. Marcus Grant, who's works for the NFL.com, always talks about how you've got, Hall of Fame players, you've got the Ring of Honor guys, right? The guys that teams will put up in their quote-unquote Ring of Honor, whether that's retiring a jersey or putting a banner up or whatever. And then you've got, like, bobblehead guys, right? The guys that get the bobbleheads in season.
Yep.
Where do you think Mark Scheifele is? Is he bobblehead? Is he Ring of Honor? Or is he Hall of Fame?
For me, okay, are you talking like Team Hall of Fame?
No, overall, like, there's like the Hall of Fame for the league. The team's Hall of Fame, quote unquote, is like the Ring of Honor guys. Those are the guys that the team honors. And then there's bobblehead guys who aren't going to get up in the rafters, but they're good enough to get a bobblehead. Yeah,
I would say Ring of Honor guy for sure. For me, I have a very high standard on statues. For him, probably a jersey retirement comes with that Ring of Honor too, right? I think that's more than fine. But when it comes to like statues and that type of thing, I think you either got to bring cups or be inner circle Hall of Fame. But I think for me, he's probably in that Ring of Honor tier.
Yep, that's kind of where I had him as well, in that kind of secondary tier. I don't think it's quite enough to get into the overall like league Hall of Fame.
No, Hall very good.
Yep.
951 games, 892 points. He's going to finish with over 1,000 games in Winnipeg, over 1,000 points. Not too shabby.
Right? Does
and
he get
the Jets seems to agree.
Does he get a
Gilbert
statue?
Marion. Oh, he's getting one here, but I wouldn't do it. Gilbert Marion says Ring of Honor. Rain says Ring of Honor. Rihanna says jersey retirement and Ring of Honor for Scheifele for sure.
Ooh, so the Jets up to this point haven't ever actually retired a jersey, right? They've honored, quote unquote, certain numbers and put them up in the rafters. Do you think they go the extra step of retiring Mark Scheifele's 55? It's an unconventional number, so they don't have to worry too much about like taking away a highly rotated number, and it's their first pick, their guy, all of the records. Do you think they make that exception at that point?
I'm going to read Archivist Athleticus comment, then I'm going to give you my answer.
Okay.
Ring of Honor, but if the Jets win a cup, you would have an outside chance. I think that's a fair distinction.
Yes.
Cups do tend to help. I think his jersey will be retired in Winnipeg, 100%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked by that one at all.
Yep. I kind of feel like that would too.
No. Impressive stuff in this market, no doubt about it, despite the bigger conversations that have been had. What'd you think? I thought in a game that was pretty rough, there's a bit of playoff type intensity to it, some chippiness to it. I thought we saw a version of Cole Perfetti that mirrored that Cole Perfetti version. We see Morgan Barron get run over by Josh Manson, who has ties to Jets 1.10.
Yep.
And he gets up, and I got to respect it. Josh Manson's not an easy customer, especially for Morgan Barron.
Yep.
And Morgan Barron got punished for it with those last couple of shots. I imagine that might be a concussion. He looked pretty out of it getting up.
Yep.
But we see a chippy game. Did it make you want to see the Jets sneak in for round one versus Colorado? And what'd you think of your boy, Cole Perfetti, and what he brought to this type of atmosphere tonight?
Yeah, that's, it was super chippy tonight. You could tell there's some bad feelings maybe left over from old playoff series. The Avs maybe not too happy about dropping that game a week and a half ago. Definitely still don't want to be facing the Avs over a 7-game series in the playoffs. That I think would be an absolute disaster and real short series for the Avs. And as for Perfetti, yeah, another game where he's continued his really good play. You're starting to see that attitude, that edge start to come back a little bit into his game, which I think comes with the confidence of not only how he's been playing, but just how he feels. I think he's starting to feel, really good again, which took a long time to come back and, fully heal from that injury. But this is the Cole Perfetti we were hoping to get all season long. And it's the one that I knew was in there. We just had to find it still, right? That injury took longer, I think, to shake off for both him and Lowry than what anybody was expecting. The funny thing is, like, hockey's so focused on this, culture of toughness. They got to tough it out. He's got to get back quick. If they say it's 6 weeks, he's got to be back in 5 weeks and skating hard and da 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 da. It's like, yeah, these guys are professional athletes and they get all the best nutrition and the best whatever, but like shit still takes time sometimes. And I just feel like we maybe still do rush people back a week or two, a little early. Guys lie to their doctors. They'll say they feel good when they don't. I wonder sometimes if we should maybe let the healing process go a little longer to get the better results. But yeah, this is the Perfetti that I was hoping for. And this is the Perfetti I wouldn't mind seeing, maybe tried at center at some point in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't see that one happening. We did see David Pagnotta suggesting there will be a short-term deal there as they still want to figure out what they have, which I've been kind of expecting coming.
Yep, that feels like the
on the topic of wanting that first round. Actually, on the topic of the toughness of this game, Tico Napoli says, and if that don't scream the Jets lack toughness, hey, you heard how I started this show. I was thinking about Bauer tonight. Vibe Up says offseason is going to be the best part of the whole thing. Rihanna points out Fetz is a beast, and I'm so happy to finally see it on the idea. So I was sitting there, and I was like, a game like this, I could probably find a way to enjoy a playoff series, though I had no confidence Winnipeg would win it. I thought it was a fun game to be at. I thought it had every element of the game, high-end skill, some of that aggressiveness, chances both ways. Anemic power plays, apparently, which maybe you want fixed up before a playoff series. But I got to say, I still wake up in cold sweats from that last time we played Colorado in the first round, where the Jets won the season series 3-0. They outscored the Avs 17-4 in that series, held the Avs to a 1-for-9 power play while they had a 3-for-6, and they led for 140 minutes, Colorado 0. And we saw how that first round went. I'm good with not going through that again. I still wake up upset about that one.
Yeah.
So that's where I still stand. And it looks like I won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that one.
On this night, where else do you want to go? Power play, 4 for 45. Really struggling even to gain zone entries at this point. What are you seeing from the Winnipeg Jets power play?
Yeah, it's all starting right from what you just said there. The fact that they're just not able to gain the zone cleanly. They're not able to set up. They can't get the cycle going. It's just been an absolute mess of trying to establish themselves with the man advantage, which is crazy. I was real disappointed today to see that Salamonson was taken off of power play 2. I was kind of hoping that he was going to maybe be slid back into that spot there, because it was actually slightly effective at, again, gaining the zone at least with him on that unit. But we're kind of back to the good old faithful setup with Neil Pionk back there, and we saw how effective that was tonight. It's they need to really figure out how to gain the zone, do it cleanly so they can set up, because until they do that, the rest of it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if they've got the best power play once they're set up if they can't gain the zone.
As Gilbert Marion says, keep throwing Nyquist out there. What's the cure? Rihanna says, what power play can we start declining them? And Vibes Up says, what happened to the PP from last year? Yeah, what a stark difference it has been watching. I know one guy that was missing that helps spread the zone a little bit.
Yep.
On the power play itself, they're just getting caught up in the neutral zone so often that even when they get in, there's not much time. We see the first power play after a minute 30 try to do it again rather than changing for a regroup themselves. Just a lot of sloppy play on the power play. And for a team that needs all the help they can get scoring goals, it just can't go this quiet for what their goals were. We're talking about a bottom, 8 power play in the NHL this year.
Yep.
Another spot they had to find more juice. On the Salmonson thing, though, doesn't bother me that much. At the end of the day, you do have to manage the minutes, and we're still seeing him take big spots in the penalty kill. So I don't mind that trade-off with having him a feature on the penalty kill. He ends up taking that delay game that leads to the 5-on-3, that leads to the McKinnon goal early in the first. Again, not his best night tonight. But I'm okay with managing minutes in that respect. It's going to come. It's going to come. He's going to be a big part of this, despite him not being in the plans this year at all.
Yeah, and we're going to get to those comments. The funny thing about tonight is he had a couple of those bad moments that were visible, but overall, they only played him 14 minutes at 5-on-5. He crushed his minutes at a 60% shot share. It's... Overall, he had he was a decent game. He's been playing the same style of game that he's kind of played all the way through. The mistakes tonight were a little bit more visible than not. But him and Samberg as a pairing, they won their minutes overall. He won his minutes at 5-on-5. It just, I don't know. I'm having a hard time putting the Tank Commander helmet on Salo tonight.
It's one of those ones where I think you look at the moments versus the collective result, because you read out those numbers, I think it's good, but there was just crucial moments that lead to the shift in this game.
Yep.
Not having the guy net front, the clearing attempt that puts them on the power play. It was those big moments that were mistakes that did lead to a shift in the game. And it's one of those, you still want him to keep playing. I thought Samberg looked real comfortable and confident tonight, especially getting up the ice. There's a few times where he danced a couple guys in the zone and brought numbers up the other way. I just think it was one of those nights where those moments added up to negatives for the Jets, but on an aggregate, you want to still see that pairing doing those type of things on the number side.
Yeah, Samberg was an absolute beast out there on the penalty kill at 5-on-5. He was huge all night. Salo, yeah, like you said, had those kind of rougher moments, but they were hopefully learning moments, right? These are the
100%.
perfect time for him to be learning these things. So yeah, no issue with that aspect, but just kind of an interesting, thing.
Where Rain jumps in here says too, I gotta say, my tank commander tonight is Sal tonight. Love the guy, but he made some mistakes tonight that were the difference, I feel. Delay a game causing 5-on-3, missing Drury in tight. Still love him. I thought that Drury was an impressive player too.
Yeah,
for Colorado.
agree.
Let's get into the From Financial Faceoff. Then we'll get into our Neil's conversation on Elias Salmonson earlier. Another time where the Jets PR and selling their wins might not be up to snuff. We'll get into that. But let's get into the From Financial Faceoff. What do you think was the difference in this game? What do you think led to the result? Let's get into the From Financial Faceoff.
Let's hit it.
Thanks for calling the landing strip. You're on the air. What would you like to talk about?
Right on. Phone lines are going to be open to 1-204-800-0409, 1-204-800-0409. Get on the line, give us a call, let us know you're from Financial Faceoff and anything else you want to talk about.
On this night, what is your From Financial Faceoff?
Well, we've talked a lot about the power play. It was going to be the power play, like we said. I think it's 2 games in a row now, 0 for 4, blanked both games, 4 for 45 since the Olympic break. But since we've kind of beaten that one to death, I'm going to beat something else to death that I've been doing a lot lately, and that's the fact that nobody wanted to clear the front of the net tonight. Nobody wanted to. Not Salo, not on any of the goals. All the goals for the Avs came essentially right in Connor Hellebuck's face. Nobody could clear out that space for him whatsoever. The Avs kind of had a free path right down the middle of the ice straight to Hellebuck all night long. So I'm going to say that was the From Financial Faceoff for me, the fact that they couldn't clear anything out of there.
Gilbert Marion goes with the From Financial Faceoff was Salo penalty, but he's going to be a solid top 4 for 8 to 9 years before he leaves. Definitely a rougher night in the moment side of things, but not one where you're going to overreact and change what you think of that guy's ceiling and what he's provided for the Winnipeg Jets this year. My From Financial Faceoff was where you were going to start. It's the difference in the power play. 2 really poor power plays coming in, and it's the difference on the scoreboard. Colorado gets on the board with one of their power plays. The Winnipeg Jets don't, despite having 4 opportunities. 4 for 45 since the Olympic break is just not going to do it. And this was a night where that's the difference on the scoreboard from even getting you to overtime to get a point and giving yourself a shot to win. It's got to be the power play for me on this night when you look at how this game played out.
100%.
Real DFE says, From Financial Faceoff again, the power play. Not only poured offensively, but actually killed 5-on-5 momentum. One of the best chances on the Winnipeg Jets power play tonight came from the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
Where the cross-ice pass ends up in the skates instead of the stick, and that might have been a 4-1 dagger. I know one of the things that was mentioned for the tank commander, but it could probably fit here, the From Financial Faceoff. What was Arnie's comment on the goalie interference challenge? Let's talk about that right here.
So he said when they quickly talked about it, they saw it as a toss-up. In his opinion, he said that Mac's stick was in Hellboy's glove before the puck ever got there. He's saying that McKinnon gets his stick right into Hellboy's glove before the puck is anywhere near hitting the stick. And that's why it should have been goalie interference. The league told him that contact was incidental in the white ice, and that the puck gets there and then he makes it into the blue ice. Arnie didn't agree.
So watching that for me, I think, and I said this at the beginning, my first reaction was, if that doesn't count, I don't know what goalie interference is. The one way I would have given him some props was, it's a 3-1 hockey game. You know it's going to be hard to get 3 the rest of the way to win it. And Colorado's power play is poor, so you're taking a shot to save yourself. You could convince me of that kind of argument with the stakes of the game and how they're seeing it. But when it comes to that goal, to me it looks like McKinnon gets the tip before making contact with Hellebuck. But the other side of it is, if that doesn't count, you're going to discourage hard driving plays to the net. McKinnon's making a play on the puck the entire way. It's not like he's going in there to try and drive Hellebuck into the back of the net.
Yep.
He's going to the net, has a step on the D to make a play like we saw go in the back of that net.
Yep.
If the NHL starts discouraging that, think about how finicky playoff goals are going to come in big moments. I don't want replay to take away goals that are real hockey plays.
Yep.
And to me, that's the definition of a hockey play, to score a goal. So even if that went the Jets' way, I just think what that sends a message to what this goalie interference call is going to be would be detrimental to getting more goals, especially quality goals driving to the net when you're making a play on the puck. I just wouldn't like to see the league, regardless of team, calling that.
Yeah. There's a difference between like Sean Avery barreling headfirst into Marty Brodeur with his back to the puck compared to Mac, who's actually making a play, pulling up, trying to stop before he actually makes real contact on Hellebuck. That was just, like you said, it's a hockey play, and it was a really nice one. Take the jersey off the player, and you just watch that from a neutral standpoint, and it's gorgeous, right? So, yeah, that was absolutely a goal all day long. It looked like a goal on TV. It looked like a goal when they did the slow-mo from the overhead cam, when they showed that on TV. There was nothing in my mind that, to me, looked like that he made contact with Hellebuck early or intentionally, which is what the league said to Arnie. But, yeah, he said to them it was an absolute toss-up and that they disagree with how the league saw it.
Hugh Jets Vibe says Arnie needs glasses then. And Tico Napoli, the goalie union, has spoken. That puck is free for McKinnon to play.
Yep.
One more thought on the From Financial Faceoff from Rihanna says, From Financial Faceoff was just all the miscues. Like, everyone felt off at times. Everyone felt disjointed, minus a few players. I want to stick on the Arnie stuff. It's funny, man. It's funny. I think I'm looked at as a pessimist, and I very much am when it comes to this Jets team. But I think I want to find optimism wherever I can. At the end of the day, I want to see the Winnipeg Jets succeed. And they have, especially this last month with public comments, they're making it more and more hard. What did we hear Arniel talk about today when it comes to Elias Solomonson and his draft and development plan in Winnipeg?
We've talked a lot this season about how wonderful it is that Scott Arniel is so very honest with us. He always wants to make sure we know that he's never had a good idea, maybe ever, in his entire life. We found out today that Salomonson, who's having an absolute breakout second half of the season here since the deadline, has been one of the very few, bright spots on what's been a pretty rough season. And, hey, since his play full time, the Jets have had better results. They've had better looking games. We've gotten to see glimpses of the future. He's only 21 years old and is absolutely killing it. And, I've made the joke a couple times of, wow, it's great that they picked the exact right game to bring him up to show that he was ready and not one game before because, he wasn't ready. He needed the seasoning. Well, we found out today that wasn't even the case. Scott Arniel told us that there was no plan for Elias Salomonson to be any part of the Winnipeg Jets this season, that it took the slew of long-term injuries plus the fact that Jarmo came in and asked for a couple of our other defensemen for him to get an opportunity to show what he could do at the National Hockey League level, which is just such a self-inflicted L. Like, why? Why would you come out and tell us that? Why would you tell us that the only good coaching decision that you've possibly made in the second half of the season was essentially forced on you? You had no interest in it before that, saw no value in that before that, thought Luke Shen was your better option, and just continued to roll that way and just kind of went, I don't know, yeah, he's here now, I guess, and he's good. It's absolutely wonderful that he makes sure that we know he doesn't have any good ideas. And it's things like this that really make me when we look at things like, oh, is Arniel sending a message? Is Arniel really on our side and Team Tank? And is he, does he see the problems and he's going to be part of the solution because he gets it, but, he's trying to work within the system? No, we need to stop attributing any type of extra thinking to Scott Arniel. Anytime we try to be like, oh, is he rewarding good play, or oh, is he seeing this and that player? No, he's not. He tells us that it's because somebody needed to get off for a line change or had a broken skate or wanted to do a face-off. It's never about the actual on-ice contribution that the rest of us can see. So I'm going to kind of chalk this up to, Scott Arniel kind of falls ass backwards into some positive things, like Elias Salamonson being a full-time player. And continues to show us that he just has no idea when it comes to not only player development, but player deployment.
Yeah, it's one of those where my two most exciting moments in this season were the Logan Stanley trade and Elias Salomonson's development and what he genuinely means to the Winnipeg Jets moving forward. So far in his career, he looks like an absolute home run swing on the right side of a decor at 21 years old in the top 4. That is a massive asset in this sport and trying to find more ceiling. And maybe we lean into stuff some more. But even Murat Atesh, who was there and asked the question, said, I've written about this at The Athletic, but Scott Arniel made it explicitly clear today the NHL Jets plan heading into the season was for Elias Salmonson to be an AHL player. They viewed him as a 2026, 2027 NHL help. He was not a top 4 option developing before our eyes. And it's one of those scenarios where we gave Chevy the credit the day before the trade deadline when that trade came out live on our show. And it was like, yeah, they did the right thing. They made the hard choice. And then the very next day, Shovel Day Off, make sure to let us know that Jarmo Kekalainen made it happen. He was not crystal clear he was going to move him and made sure to publicly throw it out there that, hey, the door is not closed in what I called the biggest IQ test this year in the NHL, the clearest sell high. Can't even give them the full credit you want to give credit for to get optimistic around. And then Elias Salmonson, clearly the best story of the Winnipeg Jets today this season. And this org that's supposed to be a draft and development organization did not view him as a better option than Luke Schenn when you put this at the very forefront. And here he is, crushing top 4 minutes. The other thing, you look at the history of the Winnipeg Jets and this AHL conversation. If you look at data, the longer you're in the AHL and later to debut, you're less likely to become impact players. Yes, it's not a bad place to go for a year, but after that, you want to get thrown into this fire and learning to develop into those big pieces. If you look at the Jets' history alone, this was sent my way after I went on a bit of a thread today about this as it bothered me. So you talk about how the Jets and how they viewed Salmonson. This was pointed out. Lowry, 1 AHL year. Scheifele, none. Ehlers, none. Trouba, none. Connor, 2, and then 1, and he started that 4 games. And then Matthew Pro gets hurt, and he's a 30-goal scorer in the NHL. JMO 1 year, Cop 1 year, Line none. All their NHL successes are early to the NHL. And that's how the league-wide trend goes. But for a team that was so desperate to get into the playoffs, Luke Schenn got nearly doubled up in goals for versus goals against in his minutes this year. He looked like a glorified beer leaguer. He got doubled up last year, and we knew this. When you start talking about the Logan Stanley stuff and some of the burnt assets, you can make a case the Winnipeg Jets not having a grasp on Elias Salmonson and what he means and what he's going to be in this league backed them into signing Neil Pionk 7x7 early because they didn't have a clue. And it also led to them trading a 2nd and a 4th for Luke Schenn, whereas he probably could have played 3rd pairing minutes last year.
Easily.
And they're telling us publicly the plan was for him to be like a 14 to 16 minute defenseman next year. We're now 6 months to 18 months ahead on his development curve and what he is as an asset because an injury happened and 2 trades that they stumbled into. We can't even give the Jets full credit for the best storylines of the season. That doesn't instill confidence. And I know there was a clip I sent you today. Turd Ferguson sent something our ways that just explained it. You have some wins here. You have some genuine wins. Sell those wins. And they didn't even want to do that. And it brought up this old comedy clip. Mikey, do you have it ready?
Hit it.
Lie to me, Jerry! Lie to me! What the fuck you doing, Jerry? Put a stick in the kid's back, prop him up or some shit. Come on! Come on! Call Steven Spielberg, get some special effects on this shit. Get George Lucas on the case. CGI, motherfucker, CGI! What the fuck? Tie some string around him, make a crippled puppet or some shit. Lie to me.
And that is the live look at me yelling at Scott Arniel.
Just lie, but lean into your good things, man. You don't have to tell us. Yeah, no, we didn't even want to see this year. That's concerning.
The frustrating thing is those two positive moments that we've talked about that they don't get credit for, not because we don't want to give it to them, because they don't want to give it to themselves and told us about it, are inherently linked, right? If you don't get rid of Stanley and Schenn at the deadline, which they weren't planning on doing, right? Chevy came out and told us that it wasn't clear they were going to trade Logan Stanley until Jarmo called and asked for it. So if that doesn't happen, Salamonson is still playing in the American Hockey League right now. Right now, this player who is crushing his top 4 minutes, who is learning the game at 21 years of age, and is looking like a real NHL player, putting you on such an advanced track, would still be in the American Hockey League because this team can't identify where the actual problems are in their lineup and what the solutions are. They just can't do it. They've never been able to do it. We see it every time they try to be proactive. It ends in things like Luke Schenn taking up those minutes and taking up that space. They would have re-signed Logan Stanley if Stanley wasn't on a massive career year that sent his, his own mind, his value flying through the roof, right? And now he's going to test it in the summer and still probably come back. But they were going to re-sign him and block, again, the young prospects that you have, potentially on the way. You've got Luke Schenn, who they viewed as a better option than Salo, who is crushing it right now. Schenn could not play the minutes that Salo has played. Schenn could not play those minutes. Not on the penalty kill, not at 5-on-5, not on the power play. He could not do it. That is just, but they don't see that. They still think that, age and experience is the way forward. Brad Lambert and Rutger McGrody, were right with their criticisms early on in the season, in the preseason, about how there's no path for the Winnipeg Jets prospects to get to the lineup without injury. Unless guys are getting hurt long-term and massive trades are happening that are forced upon the Jets, there's no path for you to play because they're going to sign some 35-year-old in the offseason who was good in 2014 and say, yep, here we go. Let's get on out there because they can't identify where the problems are. They still think this is 1996. They're still being like, oh, we're going to bring in all these, veterans and, this is where hockey is now, without realizing the game has changed in the last 30 fucking years.
I think it's like 6 of the top 8 teams in speed in both conference are playoff teams right now.
Yep.
Which is pretty crazy. It's a young man's game. But on this conversation too, I think outside of just the miss on Salo and what that could have meant compared to a Luke Schenn, which is insane to me. We were watching a borderline beer league level hockey player play on NHL ice every night, and you could see it. It's just the lack of confidence continues to be. The Winnipeg Jets, under Scheifele and Scott Arniel, clearly have one plan from preseason, and everything must fit within that plan. It's a very frigid front office. It's a very frigid Scott Arniel. It's a very frigid, no, this is the plan, we got to stick there. We've watched Gustav Nyquist play every single game except for one this year with 1 goal. We've seen Johnny Taves get overplayed at times because of what his name meant. Yep. We've seen the Luke Schenn over Salo stuff. We've seen Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele now play 72 games together, despite the fact you don't have secondary scoring and you've been outside the playoff line for longer than you were ever in it this year. They are so sticky to their original belief that they can't adapt on the fly. And we talked about this at the deadline where Chevy had talked about there was a real premium out there for players with term. There was no advantage. They didn't take advantage of that opportunity. there was an opportunity for Elias Salmonson to be taking those sallow games where May points out the crazy part is Scott O'Neill didn't even play Shen in third periods. He knew he wasn't reliable,
100%.
but we still trucked him out there for, 50 games?
Yep.
There is no ability for the Winnipeg Jets to adapt. They are so ingrained that there's one way forward and little tweaks are just going to turn this key over. And that's what's so concerning when you see where the Jets are and where I think the Winnipeg Jets are as an organization, where they got to move forward. That lack of the frigidness is only going to hurt them even more.
Well, yeah, we spent all last season pulling our hair out during some of the long win streaks of like, hey, things are going well right now. The Jets have a cushiony lead, but you know what? They're kind of getting outplayed quite frequently at 5-on-5, especially on these lines. Maybe we should start to see, let's try some other things. Let's get creative with it. You've got a winning club. Let's try to maybe, bring, and again, it was nope. Everybody is cast into their role. This is your spot. This is your position, and that's it. And we said, man, that's not a good way to do things going forward, because if things don't go exactly right, exactly your way, the whole thing falls apart. We saw that happen last year. We saw that happen now this year. They're nowhere near to having, everything go right. And it's been a mess for the majority of the games. They can't, like you said, they can't be so frigid with it. They can't be so just stuck in their ways. You have to be able to take a chance to try to actually change things up, to really, quote unquote, put everything on the table, to really, quote unquote, check everything under the sun, right? You can't just have empty platitudes like that and then just continue to do the same boring old shit. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I think this sums it up nicely. Real DFV says any success by Scheifele or Arniel is occurring in spite of them, not because of them.
Yep.
And that's where the concern is. Like, these aren't decisions that they're making, big boy decisions. Like, this is all getting thrown into them. As May says, this organization cannot pivot unless a literal act of God happens. They're falling ass backwards into their successful stories.
Yep.
That's a concern when you actually break down what this team could be. And again, I keep hearing, oh, no one could have seen this happen. July 2nd, 2025, the day Gustav Nyquist signed. Go listen to the landing strip at the 30-minute mark for a good 8 minutes. That's all I'm going to say. This was, unfortunately, predictable.
You can also go check out at Nik Lynam on Twitter, because he's got that posted up there for you as well. Because the best thing about doing a show like this is the things we say are documented. It's on the internet. You can just go watch us tell you that this was exactly what was going to happen with this group if they didn't augment, if they didn't add, if they didn't fix the holes left by the players that they deemed not good enough, quote unquote. Yeah, we're good without Nick Ehlers. We don't need him. Hey, look, Gustav Nyquist is here. Jonathan Taves. Remember when they laughed at the question if Jonathan Taves was going to be a fourth line player, not knowing that the joke was really that he's not even that? Like, come the fuck on.
I'll leave it with this. Mike Friesman says True North should be taking Nyquist to court to get their money back. And Gilbert Marion says this offseason is the turning point of this org. Chipman has to clean house, and unfortunately, I think they're running every position back.
Yeah, this is because of Mark Chipman. He's not sitting there stewing like, oh, I can't believe this terrible thing is happening. He's sitting there going, yep, this is all going to plan, exactly how we wrote it up.
May says, I need Nick to be the GM of the Jets so bad. I appreciate the love. I appreciate that. The emotions might get the best of me at times, though, in that position. I gotta say.
I have like a logistic question.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of the lineup? Is it Scott Arniel or is it Kevin Cheveldayoff? Who is in charge of who decides, like, say, in a perfect world, hold on, let me ask the question real quick. In a perfect world, say Scott Arniel was a competent coach, and part of the way through the season, he looked at his roster and went, you know what? Luke Schenn is a problem, is an issue. I don't think I can win with him in the lineup. I want Salamonson up from the American Hockey League. Who's in charge of that? Does he get that if he wants that? Or does Chevy go, nope, you're playing Luke Schenn? In your opinion, what do you think the dynamic is?
I think Arniel gets to pick his lineup for the most part outside of the big two with the lineup he's provided. I think there would be conversations between the two of them in a functioning org about a call-up like that. In a perfect world, we know Paul Maurice had that type of say in the org.
Yep.
I imagine Bones did. I don't know where Arniel feels like.
Just because the Salo comments today, the way that some people have tried to frame it, again, that Scott Arniel is a secret agent and he's undercover and he's signaling to us with his comments that he's telling us that, well, Chevy didn't have Salo in the plans for all this year, and I really wanted to have him in there, but, he wasn't in Chevy's plans. So
I didn't read that.
that's what, I've had some people kind of, suggest that as the reason for it. Again, the Scott Arniel is sending us, signals, and I personally don't buy it, but I don't know. I just wanted to see what you thought of that.
Huge Ass Vibe says, I know the answer, Mikey, and it sure is it. Fuck ain't Arnie.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, for the most part, is management. For the most part. Moving out of that, though, wanting to get that off my chest because that Arniel thing, it's like everything I want to get optimistic about is not happening because of the direct decisions, and that's crazy.
Yep.
Sell them. Lie to me.
Just lie. Just lie. Tell us it was your idea. Yarmo didn't come out and say he did this, especially not after the way that Shen and Stanley have played, right? He's not going to try to take credit for it. Just say it was you. Just say it. What's the fuck? But you know what? No, I take that back. I do appreciate that they are honest with us at how bad of a job they're doing. I do appreciate that. It is better for me because then I can actually point to these things and say, look, this is why they're bad at it, and you don't have to take my opinion. You can just ask them.
Wanted to shout out Dan Asham, who says, come on, people, hit the like button. I'm going to point that out. It's free to click the like button, free to click the subscribe button. I appreciate that. And Dan Asham, at the end of the show, we're going to get into the playoff scenarios, tank scenarios. We'll answer all that stuff shortly. But pivoting out of frustrations with the organization, they threw a pretty good dart in the college free agent pool. Now, I think it's important to say, a 24, turning 25-year-old prospect is more likely than not to be a Moose ad than a Winnipeg Jets ad. But when you have the contract space that the Jets have, and you have the profile that I've been reading about from Lucas Wallen, who signs with the Jets, a one-year ELC starting next year, out of college, I think it's fair to take those shots. A free shot in the dark at some talent. What'd you think when you saw Lucas Wallen, though I imagine, like me, you didn't know much about him, but the Jets dipping in to the college UFA pool, and we'll talk a little Wallen based on some stuff that's been sent my way from people that have watched him, and some of the stuff we're seeing publicly from people that have followed his career.
Yeah, I'm real excited for his 3 to 8 years with the Manitoba Moose. It's going to he's really going to tear up the American Hockey League while he seasons again and again. That's going to be awesome. Like you said, I don't know too much about him yet. Real excited to kind of dig into what kind of player he is and potentially what he could be. It's going to be interesting.
As described by Ryan Sykes at RMS_hockey on Twitter with a bit of an analytics profile. Looks like quite the shooter. Lucas Wallen is a shoot-first center who generates high-quality chances and finishes at an elite clip. Wallen shows strong puck retrieval and transition entry ability with solid defensive impacts and exceptional on-ice awareness. Now, he's also not coming from the best league, something to keep in mind. But that type of skill set, that type of player is something, there's traits in there the Winnipeg Jets could use that I like to hear about, see where that goes. I also had someone reach out to me that played with Wallen back in junior, and I'm going to read out what they had to say. Excited for him in Winnipeg. Kid's nasty, a lot of grit and skill in the dirty areas. Like to hear that firsthand from someone that played with him and someone that followed his career down in Minnesota. The Jets connection, dipping into the Minnesota Mafia again. Said the one thing with him is, despite his age, he got consistently better and noticeably better with each step. Take a free shot at a guy that might become something in the org. One person described him to me as a bit of a Parker Ford with a bit more offense type of player. Historically, the Jets had Brandon Tanev, Parker Ford, and Lucas Wallen now from the college free agent class. So that's probably where you should set your expectations. But bring some traits, free dart. That's the type of business that I like to see the Winnipeg Jets partake in.
I can't wait for Chevy to tell us that Wallen called him to get a contract.
And on that, Choice of TK also had pointed out, it says, it is the Chevy mentality that you don't call guys up too soon because you're afraid of damaging their delicate psych. We want them to get called up and stay. What a crock. And probably was trying to salvage something out of the Luke Shen dead asset. But where should we go from here? Was there anything else I had sent today I wanted to get into, Mikey? I know I had sent a bit of stuff here.
One of the questions for the when we get to the tank side of it later, would you lock in right now, 8th overall?
Oh, yeah. Someone in the chat, right as the show was ending last show, asked a great question. Mikey, sorry, repeat that. We wanted to get to it because it was a fascinating thought, and we were just logging off. What was that question again? And I forget who sent it, but shout out you. This was really interesting. It had me thinking that night.
So if you're the person who sent this in the chat last game, sorry, we should have wrote down who you were. The question was posed: if you were offered the opportunity right now by the National Hockey League to lock in and get the 8th overall pick, depending on now the rest of the games going forward still happen wherever the Jets, whether they fall lower than that, higher than that in the standings, would you lock in right now 8th overall with how you've seen the Jets play lately? Is there enough in the tank where they're going to finish higher than that in the standings? How do we feel? That's kind of the over-under line, I guess. 8th overall.
I got to admit, that night that it was asked, I was thinking long and hard. And it's right after the spot I want to be. I want to be at 7 or higher. But I was thinking long and hard based on the vibes after last game. And I might have leaned number 8 overall. I'm not anymore. Looking at the standings, looking at some of the scores we got today, the result we got today, some of the games coming up. I'm rolling the dice, baby. I'm rolling the dice. What about you?
Ooh. Again, after the last game, I'm with you on that one. I was really starting to sweat. I was thinking, oh no, we're going to be drafting in the double digits. 11th overall is kind of where my my paranoid math brain kind of put the Jets at with that pace. The loss tonight is super helpful. The out-of-town scoreboard tonight was very helpful. 8 is a tough spot. I'm going to say no. I'm going to put my faith in the tank. I'm going to put my faith in Scott Arniel not having any clue how to manage a lineup. I don't think he's a secret agent and actually competent. I think he's going to keep fumbling this enough right until the end. And I'm going to hope that Hellebuck has continued to quiet quit going forward in games that don't involve McCarr and McKinnon.
Such a fascinating question. And crazy how much the answer changed in a matter of a couple days there. So a shout out. I can't remember who asked it, but you had me really racking my brain the last couple days. Good call, Mikey. Some thoughts on that question in the chat. Rob Mahoney says, lock it in. Final answer. Bingo Bango says, no, we can get higher. L.May, we can still win the lottery. As long as you're in the top 10, you can get up to 1. And if you're at 11, you can get up to 2, I think.
You got it.
And so the poll's in my way, but someone else had mentioned. Oh, there we go. Gilbert Marin says we're getting top 5. Matt Duran says believe in the tank. L.May says believe we can be ass enough. Real DFE says Wallen signed to fill the big hole left by Chaz Lucius. Gonna be my favorite thing that comes out of this year.
They should have, after all the slander that Chevy has poured on poor fucking Chaz Lucius this season, when they go and they win the lottery, the draft lottery, and they go up to draft number 1, that's who should be making the pick. I want to see Chaz Lucius making the pick for your Winnipeg Jets so that they can, he can pass the torch finally.
L.May says nothing can fill the Chaz Lucius shaped hole in our hearts.
That's right.
Matt Durand makes it harder after Riley Medwick says I'm rolling the dice every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Arctivist says no, don't lock in. Tank. Matt Durand, change it to the stakes. Change it to 6. Would that change your answer?
Ooh. Now we're getting spicy.
Yeah, that's actually a lot tougher.
Locked in at 6 or 6
Locked
before the lottery?
Locked in at 6.
Locked in at 6? Oh.
That's tougher.
Who would you take if the Jets ended at 6,
Who
right?
goes top 5?
Oh man.
I think after McKenna it's gonna be a mixed bag.
It's gonna be right. It's starting to get a little muddled. I'm gonna still say no. I've got to hope that the Jets can salvage something from this trash bag of a season. And I hope that is an actual lottery win. So I'm going to say no. I'm still going to roll the dice.
Again, not my own eyes, but seeing Carson Carroll's compare his own game to my favorite defenseman in the NHL to watch today. Piqued my interest. Mikko Heiskanen.
Yep.
Was who he likes to model his game after. Whew. That got me a little excited
I'll take that.
about the Manitoba born. On the 6 overall thing, Farmerlane says, believe in the tank. The coach and front office are too stubborn to change anything, so they'll keep the tank going. May says, for 6, I might. Rylan Medwick says, I think 5 is where I would lock it in. May points out Florida and Toronto could out-ass us. I hate Paul Maurice tonight all over again.
Yep.
Celebrating he got to 2,000 games. Career nearly 500 coaching. They lose the game with 3 seconds left tonight, and I didn't see what happened, but I know without even looking, he did something stupid.
Oh,
he
guaranteed.
did something stupid to help the Florida Panthers. Pissed me off.
Guaranteed.
Pissed me off. They were just 1 point ahead of us, man.
Yep.
Rihanna says, ooh, at 6, I'd contemplate a lock in a lot more than 8. Vibe Up says, lock it in at first. That's the ideal route. Arctivist Athletica says, we got some tough games coming up. I think I wouldn't lock it in. Choices TK says 8 guarantees you one of McKenna, Stenberg, Verhoff, Reed, Smits, Malhotra, Carols, or Bork. So maybe 8's the number.
8's not bad.
At 6, I think I do.
You don't trust them to mess it up.
Top 5 and top 4 are in play. Did Calgary end up winning tonight? Calgary lost in OT, so they got a point. So top 5's in play.
Top 5's in
You
play.
could then drop to 1 spot to 6, 2 spots to 7. Could win the lottery. Honestly, let's keep rolling the dice. Top 6 is tough. That one has me like, I might be an idiot on this one, but let's roll the dice.
I agree. I think the Jets need one of the big. They need one of the big fish. So we got to do it now. Somebody who's got to step in next season. We can't have anybody that they have the opportunity to send down and ruin with the Moose.
Real DFV also points on that conversation. Another loss Saturday could punch a hole in the sail. The fragile mentality could easily result in another tailspin. Wouldn't lock it in. I'll say, Mikey, for our year-end show, when we go through some of our best takes, some of our worst takes of the year, and lean into it. I know what my worst take of the year is, and I realized it tonight, but we'll save that for postseason
Excellent.
success or
so excited.
postseason conversations. It's a very obvious one, too, I think. Rob Mahoney says, the fun thing is there isn't a lot of hope for the team going forward. Top picks the next few seasons, secrets tank due to incompetence. I'll take it. Let's get in to the lottery stuff and the out-of-town scoreboard because a lot was happening league-wide today, impacting both the wildcard race and the Jets' lottery odds. So coming into the night, I had a list of 8 games that I was going to be paying attention to, putting the old score notifications on. Coming in, from the tank perspective, I was hoping for a Colorado win in regulation, Chicago win in regulation, Seattle win, Florida win, St. Louis OT win, Nashville OT loss if it was paired with a Jets loss, Calgary win, LA Kings win. What did we end up getting here?
We got almost all of those. The only ones you didn't really get, no Predators OT or extra point. The Preds lost, but so did the Jets. So there's no movement there whatsoever.
And the Devils getting 2 points is huge for the lottery odds here.
Huge. The Flames got to OT, but they didn't get the second point.
Okay.
And
Blackhawks got spanked.
Blackhawks got spanked, but you did get the 3-point game with the Blues and Sharks, which was the big one. That is huge to have 3 points in that one for the tank.
Yeah. So going through the scores here, we get Kraken 4-3 over the Lightning in overtime. They gain some ground. We nearly get Panthers in overtime. 3 seconds left. Fucking piss me off.
Goddamn,
man.
Arnie.
Blackhawks get spanked by the Flyers 5-1. Doesn't help us from below. We get the big 3-point game. That was the biggest one on the night. Sharks pull up to 1 behind us with that 1 game in hand.
2 games.
The
Sharks.
Blues. Oh, shit. It would still be 2, eh?
Yes. Sharks have 2 games in hand, only 1 point behind. Blues 1 point behind, 1 game in hand.
Yeah, so the Blues getting the extra point in that one. Massive for the downside of this lottery conversation. Devils 4-2. Would have loved a 4-3 in overtime with the Preds making it a 6-point gap. But the Devils pick up 2 points on Winnipeg, and I'll take that when we're juggling for this lottery conversation. The Flames lose 3-2 in overtime to the Ducks, but they pick up a point. And the LA Kings go 4-0 over the Canucks, and they still have 1 or 2 more games against the Canucks. Something to keep in mind here.
Yep.
Over on HockeyStats.com, the Jets' playoff chances drop to 5%, projected points of 83. They're expected to win 2 of their next 3, or 1 of their next 3 games, as they have Colorado, Chicago, Dallas. Overall, not bad, man. Overall, not bad. If you just look at the projections on HockeyStats.com, they would finish in the 5 spot right now. I'll take that after last game's shuffling. Overall, not bad.
Yeah, looking at it, bottom 5 is 100% still in play and kind of likely, especially when you look at the fact that, like we said, St. Louis only 1 point behind with still a game in hand, plus 2 more regulation wins than the Jets. They don't even have the tiebreaker on St. Louis. So it's it's looking real good to creep down to that bottom 5 spot. At which point your odds of winning the overall lottery are pretty fucking good.
And on that topic, Dan Asham says if the Jets make the playoffs, which they would need to make a 6-point gap essentially in 10 games, it's just not going to happen.
Guys,
how far do you think the Jets will go? I don't think they'd play more than 4 or 5 games.
It would be the first. It would be the first 3-game series in the National Hockey League, because they would just call off the 4th game because there'd be no point. This is not a playoff team. They're not sneaking in. They're not even mathematically close to sneaking in. They're not on a projection to even sneak in. The fact that they're still 5 points out with still the 4 teams in between, they don't have the games in hand, they don't have the regulation wins. It's not a realistic thing. They're lying to you.
Yes, and the projections currently have them finishing only ahead of Calgary, Chicago, Vancouver, and the New York Rangers. But yeah, it would be a spanking if they got there.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. It's not happening anyways. Today was a dagger. The next couple games, you drop 1 or 2 more, like, you're done. It's over. You basically got to win almost every game at this point.
Like I said, they're the character in the movie who's already been bit by the zombie. They're dead. They just don't realize it yet.
So, should we pivot out of there with the 3 stars and the tank sim heading into the weekend?
Right on. Let's hit it.
3 stars, who you got?
Right on.
What a stat from Pomerlane. The Kings finally got their 19th regulation win to surpass their 18 OT losses. Good God. Oof. The NHL is weird, interesting, odd this year.
My Habs hit 40 wins tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Getting ready for that early exit.
Oh, baby. It's going to be a fun 7-game series.
Who's your 3 stars on this night?
Right on. 3rd star, we talked about him a little bit up at the top. Cole Prickfetti. That pass to Mark Scheifele on that second goal was, whoo, baby, that was something nice. And his overall play has just been continues to improve game to game. 2nd star, he was a fucking tower on the back end, was Dylan Sandberg. 5-on-5 on the penalty kill. He was just really good all night long. And number 1 star, how do you not Mark Scheifele? Games played, goals, career high, all that kind of fun stuff. Continues the hunt to take down the Thrasher record. So ended, perfect Atlanta Thrashers fashion. He's out here putting up, 100-point pace while the team finishes bottom 5. So it's pretty good. I'll give it to number 55.
We talked about last show. He's motivated for this team to draft in the teens. He's certainly putting the team on his back right now. 3rd star, I was going to go Sandberg, but I'll go Prickfetti. In a game that had that type of edge to it, and he comes up with that big assist. Really liked what I saw from Cole Prickfetti. I'll go 3rd star there. I'll go Nate Mack, number 2, as he goes blow for blow with Mark Scheifele. And it's Mark Scheifele's night. Most games played in Winnipeg history. Puts up both goals, both fantastic shots to finish off, and he does one of them without Kyle Connor. It's just an incredible night in Mark Scheifele's world, though I'm sure he wished that last pass was 81 instead of 91. In the chat, Gilbert Marion goes Scheifele 1, McKinnon 2, Arneal 3. T. Cohen and Paulie goes Nate Dogg 1, 55-2, Cole Perfetti 3. Real DFE goes 3 stars. Scheifele 1. McKinnon 2. 3 Sandberg. Rob Mahoney goes first star. Kadri for missing the net 87 times. Leaving there, let's get to the tank sim, and we'll move on with our weekends. We won't be there Saturday, but we'll be back for the big tank game between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Winnipeg Jets. Does a win for the Blackhawks in regulation make things interesting? Are they too far back? Probably, but we'll be back for that one. Let's get into the tank sim. It's a losing night. We've been hot on losing nights. Let's see what happens here.
Let's hit it. 3, 2, 1. Number 5. Your Jets are drafting 5th overall. Vancouver up to 1, and Chicago moves up 1 spot to 2.
I'm guessing theirs goes by points percentage, eh?
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes a ton of sense because that's where we're sitting at.
Yes.
By points percentage.
So how do you feel drafting at 5? Out of the 8
Perfect.
that choice is listed off there, say McKenna, Stenberg, Reed, and Smits are gone. Who are you drafting at number 5?
Ooh. I might go Malhotra there.
You might go Malhotra there.
Might go Bjork. I'd probably go forward.
Yeah. You don't like the
I
lob
guess
down.
we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
As Rob Mahoney says, good thing we didn't lock in.
Good thing.
Anna says,
See?
okay, 5 I can live with. Dan Asham says, great podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Dan.
If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, subscribe. It's all free to do. Send this to a friend of yours that enjoys talking Jets hockey as much as you. And let's continue building up this community. Another great crowd after the Winnipeg Jets versus Colorado game. 10 games to go. We'll be here for 9 out of the 10. I hope you all have a good rest of your week. Don't work too hard tomorrow. Mail it in Friday. And we'll see you back when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets versus Chicago Blackhawks. We'll see you then.
Right on. Good night, everybody.